Hey y'all, I'm Diann Bays, founder of How Big is Texas and your go-to guide for Lone Star State adventures. Thanks for joining me on today's Texas Quest. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, y'all. I can almost smell the pumpkin and cinnamon spiced air mixed with the wood smoke coming from the fireplace. As the TV is blasting this year's Dallas Cowboys game against the Kansas City Chiefs, I can visualize the open mouths of family and friends sitting around the house. Why are their mouths open? Not because they've seen Taylor Swift's fashion statement when she shows up on screen, or they're cheering or booing the Cowboys, depending on their affiliation. Their mouths are open because they finished their meal of carb and butter-infused family dishes they tend to only enjoy once a year during the Thanksgiving holiday. They look like a dormant bear family during hibernation. Only a few of those mouths will be closed because those intelligent family members grab the recliners in the house, so their mouths, like their bodies, are now horizontal and gravity is on their sides. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. I'm sure it goes back to spending the season at my grandparents' house in the countryside of Northeast Texas near the town of Truth. As I've shared in a few previous podcasts, my grandma was an excellent cook, and though she passed in the 1990s, people are still talking about her cooking. When I was in my early teens, I remember our family of six joining my uncle's family of six, and all of us showing up at my grandparents' old white frame 2-bedroom house for the fall holiday. If memory serves, we would have to take our meals in turns since the dining table was in their small kitchen right beside my grandma Singer's sewing machine. The table only held 6 or 8 people at a time, and we had at least 14. We never had to worry about not having enough food because Grandma could make a large and delicious meal with the simplest ingredients. It was all good, and Grandma always made plenty. Thanksgiving is the one time of year that I actually write down what I'm planning to cook, so I don't forget to buy ingredients at the grocery store and have to change course in midstream on the day. Even when I'm only cooking for my husband and me, it looks like I've cooked for an army. Since we like leftovers in our house, it's all good. Now, what does this have to do with Texas? Texas recipes have been in our family for decades, and I love to think about where they started and how they've been passed down year over year. Sadly, I don't know which recipes in our family were original or if they were something one of my past relatives read in a magazine or cookbook or something they made up. Doesn't really matter, but I sure wish I knew that history. The other thing I like about a Texas Thanksgiving meal is that it captures the colors of fall. That said, most of the dishes served are the color of fallen leaves, not the cool colors that leaves turn before they fall. In other words, there's a whole lot of brown on most tables if the menu is true to Texas and Southern roots. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, at least from my personal experience as a fifth-generation Texan, these are dishes I've enjoyed throughout my life on the Thanksgiving holiday. There will be a turkey at the table. Whether it's baked or deep fried, it's going to be brown. Cornbread dressing, also brownish when cooked, will be prominent at the table and made with leftover biscuit crumbs and homemade cornbread I dried out for 3 days before dousing it with enough chicken broth to bring it back to life. Why the 3 days of drying it out? Maybe it has something to do with the Bible. I'm not really sure. Sometimes the answer is simple. It is what it is. While the mashed potatoes accompanying the turkey and dressing may be white, the gravy you slather over the bird and spuds is brown. You might see a tinge of orange coming from the massive covering of brown sugar and crumble topping that has been baked over the sweet potatoes. Hopefully, the cook bought those potatoes from Golden, Texas, the sweet potato capital of the world, in East Texas, where they crown the sweet potato queen and princess, but also Mr. and Miss Potato Sprout, Miss Potato Spud, Mr. and Miss Tater Tot, Mr. and Miss Curly Fry, and Little Miss Potato Wedge at their festival each year. There are likely some yellow specks from the corn showing up in the baked corn pudding, which was made with a prepackaged cornbread mix and those cans of creamed and whole kernel corn that have been hiding in the back of the pantry for a couple of months waiting for their seasonal debut. The top of this dish is again brown if you cook it right with real butter. The pecan pie and the Dr. Pepper cake, both Texas treasures, are brown too. That doesn't stop people from eating them since you can top either or both with a scoop of Bluebell homemade vanilla ice cream to cut the sweetness of the rich desserts, whatever that means. Even the dinner rolls are brown, whether they are homemade Parker House rolls or the packaged rolls. Those tend to get brought out by the efficient cook who didn't want to make rolls due to the timing of the meal and only having one oven. Or they're brought by the less than talented cousin who, let's say, was encouraged to bring store-bought instead of homemade due to their lack of kitchen prowess. No one wanted them to ruin the meal by bringing anything else except maybe paper plates and holiday napkins. Some dishes will add color to the brown conglomerate I've already mentioned. The infamous green bean casserole only one member of your family likes had better be there. If it's not on the table, others will complain in support of the person who likes it, which makes no sense at all. And this is not the time to play around with the recipe. Put those canned and fried onion things on top and call it good. Maybe a side of collard greens will be present. It's easy to find smoked turkey wings to cook them with this time of year. And Lord knows you are going to want some fiber at some point during this meal, and greens will do the trick, if you know what I mean. Deviled eggs will show up with their yellow mustard glow. People are funny about their deviled eggs, so don't go crazy when you load up your plate. Take only one in case the cook did some experimenting and you can't tell because they look normal. But a bad deviled egg lives up to its name and can ruin your meal if not done well. There might be a layered salad in a spring-themed trifle bowl that only gets used a couple of times a year, but don't let it fool you into thinking it's healthy. While it may be beautifully presented in a clear dish so you can see the layers of green lettuce, English peas, cherry tomatoes, purple onion, and diced celery, there's enough fried bacon, grated cheese, and mayonnaise in that dish to choke a horse. At our family's traditional Thanksgiving tables in the past and present, you might find other salads too. Know that while they may be green in some instances, like the pistachio salad, the green color is not caused by the blending of lettuce or spinach, but by the box of pistachio pudding you mix into a tub of whipped topping with maraschino cherries, walnuts, mini marshmallows, and pineapples. This green bowl of wonder, or a canned pear half with a dollop of mayonnaise, grated cheddar cheese, and a maraschino cherry on top, will be the only introduction of fruit at the table. So if you're trying to follow the food pyramid, you're going to need to get pretty creative and take some artistic license. And finally, a touch of red to remind us that the gift-giving season is on the turkey's deep-fried heels comes in the form of cranberry sauce or cranberry jelly. I grew up with the canned kind that comes with its own cutting lines. The hardest part of the prep work is getting it to exit the comfort of the can it's been bound in and waiting to make its appearance. I personally like making my own cranberry sauce from real cranberries. I tend to be the only one who eats it in our house, but I'm not offended because they don't eat the canned stuff either. It's not Thanksgiving for me without that red splotch of color on the plate. There will be sweet tea and unsweet tea for those watching their figures. Those same curve-watching individuals can be found at the front of the line when it's time to serve the desserts. Bless their hearts. While there are variations on the Thanksgiving meal I've enjoyed throughout the decades, including tamales, cooked carrots, squash casserole, and even Brussels sprouts, this pretty much sums up my menu. Do you have a family favorite holiday menu you can't live without? Do you bring out the alcohol for the eggnog or other holiday drinks while the family is visiting? Or do you wait until after they all leave so the teetotalers don't cast judgment on you? It happens, even in families. Whatever you serve over the Thanksgiving holiday, I wish you the best. And make sure you grab one of those recliners before one of the kids does. It'll save you some open-mouthed embarrassment when the carbs and tryptophan coma arrive after you eat. Happy Thanksgiving from my table to yours. That's a wrap for this episode, y'all. Make sure to follow How Big is Texas on social media or visit howbigisTexas.com for more adventures. A friendly review would make my day. Until next time, from Texas, safe travels.